Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Reaction and Review Thanksgiving Special. Yeah, guys, I actually thought I'd do something a little bit special here on Thanksgiving. I thought I'd give you guys a little treat. I'm putting in a bonus episode this month, and tonight's film is actually a little bit festive. Tonight's flick is called Blood Freak, and the only thing I can tell you is that the film is about a killer turkey monster thing. I really don't know anything else about it, guys. A lot of people were sending me messages going, dude, you really have to check out this film. You really have to check out this film. I watched, I believe I watched the trailer for it, and the trailer looked just fucked up. So this thing's either going to be really good, or it's going to really suck. I really don't know what to really expect because, well, I really haven't done any other research going into this. I don't know who the hell stars in it. I don't know who the fuck directed it. The one thing I can tell you is that it was released on DVD by Something Weird Video, the same company that puts out films like Basket Case, and Basket Case is pretty good, but that doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot since, well, you know. So, you know what, guys, right now I actually am just kind of stalling, so I'm just going to dive right into this film, and let's hope for the best. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Blood Freak. So, we just had a rather unnecessary and really pointless opening from some asshole I've never seen. And I really didn't see the point to having it. Actually, in fact, it almost reminded me of Criswell's opening from Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's really a bad sign when the first thing that pops into a person's head while watching a movie is, hey, this actually is a lot like Plan 9. You know, guys, you would almost think that a fucking party where everybody's just, you know, like passing around weed and pills and everything else would actually be sort of interesting. But no, this party is boring as shit. Christ almighty, this fucking prick is back. You know, I was totally wrong. This guy's nothing like Criswell from Plan 9. At least Criswell was kind of likable. This fucking douchebag happens to remind me of Bill Cosby's little cutaways from the old Fat Albert show. Completely unneeded and just there to fill time. Experiments in a lab. This guy here is a couple of guys who work in a turkey hatchery talking about experiments in a fucking lab, and he's not instantly suspicious. I'm going to tell you guys, if I actually heard that, it would be the last time I ever set foot in that fucking turkey hatchery. It just sounds too creepy to me. I swear to God, guys, the acting in this film is some of the worst I have ever seen. I really have nothing else to say right now. I just wanted to mention, this acting is painful. Is she fucking the turkey monster? Apparently she is. That was a little bit creepy. Thankfully, we didn't have to see anything because the lights were out, but just the whole implication was enough. You know, guys, a thought has just struck me. Since, you know, this film is so fucking dull and there's nothing else going on. The movie is called Blood Freak, but I haven't seen a drop of fucking blood yet. In fact, I have seen elementary school plays with more goddamn blood. It's getting kind of set. Wait a minute. We might actually get our first taste of blood. Oh, there we go, and the blood's kind of pinkish. Oh boy. The last time I saw pinkish blood, it was in Violent Shit. That's not a good sign, and this film was already going downhill in the first place. They have just used the same shot of this jackass walking backwards 3 fucking times. I'm getting a little sick of seeing it. Just sort of thought I would mention that. Oh, we get footage of a turkey getting its head cut off. It's almost as nasty as the scene with the chicken in Faces of Fucking Death. It really is. It's kinda nasty. Shit. Thank you, God, it's over. Alright, folks, well, it is Thanksgiving, and I'm going to give thanks that I never have to watch this rotten fucking movie ever again. Okay, let's talk about Blood Freak. I'm going to start off in a way I don't normally start with these films, because, see, normally, guys, whenever I talk about editing, I usually say that a film is too long or a film is too short. Never have I actually felt the need to sit down and actually teach you guys a little bit about, filmmaking. As little as I have learned from, well, watching movies and watching bonus features on DVDs and shit. I'd like to tell you guys a little something called flash frames. Now, with many film cameras and with a whole lot of studios switching over to digital film, you really don't see this as often, if ever. But you have to get your camera up to speed, and while the camera is warming up, as well as cooling down, it's still filming. And the frames at the start and at the end of these shots are always overexposed, which means that they're totally white. Which means that basically every single piece of film basically fades in from white and fades out to white. Now, you're not supposed to keep the fade in or the fade out in your film. A lot of editors use those as marks, telling them, okay, we have a new shot here. They cut that shit out for a reason. It's not meant to go into the movie. But with Blood Freak, there are so many flash frames that you could make a drinking game out of it. Every single time that a shot fades out to white because the fucking half-retarded chimp editing this thing doesn't know a damn thing about cutting out flash frames, take a fucking drink. I guarantee you will be totally wasted by the time this film is done. Okay. Besides that, I'd like to talk about one other thing about editing. You guys might happen to remember a couple episodes back I did my reaction and review on Poultrygeist, and I had to make mention because a couple of clips I had a fan going. And I had a fan going because my laptop here is a cheap piece of shit and it has a habit of overheating. And I had my fan on. It sounded a little bit like this. Yes, I'm turning it on right now. You guys can hear that going, right? You guys can kind of hear the noise this fan's kicking off. And you know how it's kind of giving off like a little bit of like a hum? And it's kind of making it hard for you guys to hear me? I want you to imagine an entire film where most of it sounds like that. I'm going to turn that fucking fan off now. So yeah, sound is also a big issue. Let's talk about acting. Since I usually start with acting, I just wanted to get, editing and sound out of the way, at least the minor editing and sound problems I don't normally talk about. The acting in this film is absolute garbage. It basically, to me, feels like the two directors on this film told everybody, you get one take to get these lines right, just one, and if you fuck up, screw off, we are just going to use that. So we have actors fumbling and stumbling over lines, and it sounds really bad in a film when somebody has to say something and then they get halfway through a word and then they go, and then they start it off again. It's almost as bad as my stutter in these videos, but at least I'm able to get to my point a little bit quicker. Alright? And when people aren't fumbling and stumbling over their lines, they have no idea what the fuck they are trying to say. Almost everyone sounds like they just got the script and they don't know how to emote properly. So almost everybody is reading it as if they're reading it for the very first time. So we have actors who are supposed to sound surprised, but they talk like this. Yeah. Lifeless. Pointless. I have nothing else to say. The acting is absolutely hideous. The camera work, if we were to bypass all of the flash frames which somehow made it in because the editor is blind, the camera work in this thing is really poor. We have tons and tons of blurry shots, and we have camera movements which make absolutely no sense at all. It's just, this thing just seems like a really rushed film from top to bottom when it comes to acting, writing, camera. Oh God, the writing. I'm going to tell you guys, for everything I said about the fucking room, and with all of the filler, and with all of the scenes with them just throwing around a football, and with just a bunch of other shit, at least the story was somewhat cohesive. Or not, coherent is the word I was thinking of, was coherent. At least the story was there and it could have been fixed. No, there is no fucking story. There is no way you can help this. We have some asshole who gets totally hooked on one fucking joint. He then eats turkey, which has possibly been laced with chemicals that we have no idea what, because we're never given any real, specifics on that. So all of a sudden he sprouts this turkey head and goes killing people who are addicted to drugs. That is the entire film. And of course the ending is even stupider. I'm not going to go into details about the fucking ending. The ending made me want to punch out my fucking monitor. That's saying a lot. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I could probably write a better script in my fucking sleep. Hell, I think anybody could write a better script in their sleep. This thing was shit. And the whole thing is basically just this big message about how you shouldn't do drugs and how you should be careful of all of the chemicals that are in your food. Now, this actually would be just fine if it were just sort of left as just kind of sort of like a slight message. But no, we have this douchebag who I've already talked about twice already in this thing, at the very least twice. At the very end, hammer this moral into our heads as if we are children. He talks about how we should not be doing drugs and how we should be watching out for all the various chemicals in our food and how we should treat our bodies like temples. He's saying this while smoking a fucking cigarette and having a coughing fit. And no, the coughing fit did not seem scripted, and that also is sort of why I think everybody was given one fucking take to do everything. This film is just an absolute joke, and the fact that anybody would insist on putting this rotten thing on DVD is just stunning. I mean, who the hell in their right mind is going to waste money on this? Don't answer that, because I know a lot of people have. That's kind of why it's out on DVD. People apparently wanted it. And I could maybe understand if the film was, like, bad in a funny way, but it's not. It's boring. We have our first hour of the film is basically just nothing but setup, padding, filler, and bullshit. And the second half is just droning and dull, and the second half is when we first see the monster. It doesn't make a lick of sense, and, oh, yeah, one other thing. I would like to talk about lighting. Oh boy, yes, the lighting. There are a couple of shots which seem to make sense because they are at night. Those look fine. But when you are in a fucking office, or at least I'm going to assume that it is supposed to be an office or a fucking lab, and it's supposed to be lit well, and it looks like it's being lit with just a small handful of 40-watt bulbs, you have failed somewhere. And I do not know if you have failed in life or if you failed in learning how to light a shot, but either way, you failed somewhere in your horrible life and you should be ashamed. Really, guys, I had absolutely no fun watching this thing. And I'm going to tell you, oh God, the film was made in 1972. Apparently, the film was rated X for its violence. I'm going to tell you, there's maybe 3 scenes that actually have blood in them. The blood is kind of minimal and minor. In fact, in 2 of them, it's people who either have their throats slit or one of them is kind of sort of like poked in and blood kind of like pours out. Because for some reason, our turkey monster actually knew to hang people upside down in order for the blood to rush faster. The other one was a possible rapist, drug fucking dealer, I guess, getting his legs sawed off. And that scene also felt ridiculously fake. It's just, I have no positives for this movie. It was dull, it was tedious, the sound, the lighting, the editing, the camera work. Guys, I can usually say that at fucking least the lighting was good. I can't even say that here. And I also cannot even say that the music is good, because every piece of music in this thing is a pile of crap. Which is really sad, because we had some of our best music made in the late 60s and early 70s. So this thing was right in the middle of a musical renaissance, and we get dog shit for music. Frankly, guys, I was really hoping for something a little bit better for my Thanksgiving special, but, well, you know what? This holiday has always been about turkey, and you know what? I just finished watching a goddamn turkey, and I'm, well, kind of happy. Now I never have to worry about, watching it again. And no, I never will. This thing was just tedious. And with that, we come to the close of the Reaction and Review Thanksgiving special. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.